Good morning, everybody. John Sfielka here for GAI Insights with Luda, Adam, and Ankash, bringing you the essential, important, or optional news here in the new year. Fantastic new stuff happening. We have everything from a great new report by Randy Bean on what's happening with the adoption of AI and what's happening with data leaders, chief data officers, chief information officers, chief AI officers, as well as all the way through some fantastic new research that looks at how to embed memory layers in multi-layer networks as a way to increase factual accuracy and everything in between. All right. Don't forget, anybody who is listening, if you want to look at the articles, just go to gaiinsights.com/articles. That's gaiinsights.com/articles, and you can follow along with us as we go through this. All right. So, Ankash, please start us off with the first article.
Sure, thanks, John. So the first one that we have for today comes from HBR and Randy Bean and talks about 6 ways in which AI changed business in 2024.
Yes, and Randy's been doing this particular survey for over a decade. As fate would have it, I happen to know Randy from grade school. He was in fifth grade when I was in fourth grade. So there you go, another Brocktonian. There aren't many people from Brockton, Mass. Marvin Hagler's in there, as is Rocky Marciano, for those of you who are boxing fans. But interesting new set of data here from that survey in terms of the progress of a number of dimensions, adoption, and so forth. So, Adam, what did you think of this one?
This is definitely at least important. It's great to keep a handle on. The survey went up to 125 from 100 individuals, I believe around 100 the previous year. So it's not a massive sample size, but it's in the Fortune 1000, and these are chief data officers, as you said, and chief data and AI officers and those types of roles. So it's a very specific group, but it's very valuable information. And some of the metrics that are in it and some of the details that came out of it are very telling, and certainly worth taking a look at. It's well written, it's concise, but it's dense. The thing that probably kept me from keeping it as essential was that it doesn't provide any guidance or forward-looking advice. I know it's looking back at 2024, so I can understand why, but sort of the premise we're left with is, this is it's been transformative, and these are exciting times. And as busy as our executives are, if they're hard pressed to find time to keep up on things, I wouldn't call this as something they have to read.
All right. I was going to make the case for essential here, but what do you think, Luda?
Yeah, I was going essential. I think, yes, this is a lot of statistics, 90-some%. This is so much percent, but it does give you a sense of what's happening out there. So for executives, this is critically important to know that this is not, if they're feeling the same way, that's good. If you're not feeling the same way, they can get a sense of what's happening out there. So I feel well.
Mm-hmm. All right, so essential. Sorry, my son's dog has caused my dogs to go wild here. I was going to give it essential for a similar reason.
Let's go essential. Point, yeah, I'm on board.
Okay.
All right, essential it is. Ankash, next, please.
Okay, the next one that we have is a research paper from Google DeepMind, and it talks about a theory of appropriateness with applications to generative artificial intelligence.
Yes, let's see. We have
you.
Me looking at this. I was going to give this an important, and let me tell you why. First of all, this is I was an academic for a while, and actually, have an appointment now. Excuse me a second, Agnes, stop. And the whole paper here is really well researched. This is about a 100-page paper. It's got 10 pages of references, and it's incredibly well argued. And the fundamental point it makes is that when we talk, let me use my language on it. We're now in dialogue with the machines, and there's a lot of theory and thought around what is appropriate dialogue between and among humans in a social setting. And it makes the point that, look, the robots that we have now, and my robot interrupts me here. He's weird. The robots that we have now do not take into account this concept they call appropriateness and context. That is, what is the nature of dialogue and meaning in a social setting, and what are the motivations of people in the context of that. And they say that, look, the motivations are not dominated by self-interest, they're dominated by social appropriateness. And they go through a lot of really good research and theory on what that all means. And as I interact with these robots and as we think about these, I do think that many of the engineers putting these together they do not have any kind of theory of dialogue and what meaning means and how organizations and humans work together to in a productive way, using dialogue as the core carrier wave, if you will, of meaning. And so for that reason, it's certainly not essential, because it's a theoretical paper and it's very dense. And truth be told, I only got through about 10 pages of the 100 pages in preparation for this, but it is impressive. So I was going to give it an important, and I do think that this domain, if I were running a software organization, if I were running one of the big model companies or any of the model companies, I would make at least half of my engineers read this thing and debate it, because I think it has a lot to do with the next level of thinking and theory of user interface design in the context of dialogue and meaning, which is what these robots are. So I was going to give it an important. What do you guys think?
Yeah, in the overall scope of things, it would be optional because it's so long and it's researchy and it's all based on like our theories, right? So why is this theory better than another theory? I always say, right? Why do we need government? But on the other hand, we are
What was that? Why do we need government?
yeah. So
We're not going to go down there right now, but I'd love to get your take on that.
No, wait. So why do you need a theory, right? But we are striving for AGI and for artificial general intelligence, right? And in that strive, you have to have some guideposts, and this is one of them of what's the way to guide those discussions. And yeah, it's not essential, but it is important to think about these topics. And this lays some ground thinking about it, and that's important for people to know. So I'm with you on important.
Awesome, Adam.
You've convinced me.
All righty. There, and I do think maybe put a warning. It is a dense paper and so forth.
And that's why I was leaning towards optional. Don, it's tricky because the abstract doesn't quite give you enough to appreciate the nuance of what you've described.
Yes,
but it's a bit much to ask someone to read. But I think to your point, if they take a look and they get a few pages into it, they'll get a sense of the importance of this idea, and that's enough.
Yeah, and I think that to me the mathematics of large language models are well reflected, as is the computer science in terms of thinking of it. But I think that the social philosophy and philosophy in general, in terms of how people make meaning for themselves and for society and for groups, is woefully underrepresented in this whole effort. And that's and we are. That's what I think is distinctive about this generative revolution to me, is the need for that. So anyone who can help push that theory forward, I think you give a little leg up on. Okay, so
but there is, John, to say something to Adam's point. When I opened it, I said, "What? Why are they spending the time right on Google and DeepMind? Why are they spending this on theory of what? Appropriateness? What?"
Yes.
And then you start thinking about it and you look into it and you say, well, yeah, but this is important for what we're trying to do with this whole AI wave. So it is somewhat of a disconnect, and I give them kudos for actually pushing it. That is a massive effort to pull all these references together and actually rethink that. So I think it's important.
Yeah, it got my academic juices going again, which is when you actually when you actually encounter a piece of work where somebody's done the hard work of putting it together and really reasoning it and doing a good job. I mean, this is a first class piece of work here. All right, so we're going to give it an important Ankaj. Next, please.
Okay, the next one is about Sonus One. They have released multiple large language models.
Yeah, what'd you think here, Luda?
I'm between optional and important. Optional because yet another set of models out of a company, Sonus AI. I didn't know about this company till I read this, right? They raised $3 million. $3 million. And here they are with a set of models with a performance that is beating the top models out there. This is amazing. So that's the reasoning for important, that this is a step up of from what we have. The problem is who's going to adopt them, and why do executives need to know about this? So that's because I don't know what's sustainable and where they would get the money to actually pursue this, right? So that's why optional. I'm curious of what you thought.
All right, Adam, we have Luda on the fence here. What do you think?
Yeah, I was optional. It's very light on details, and I think the only way they really stand a chance is if they're incredibly cost competitive, and there's really no indication about that. And I mean, I hadn't heard of them either, and I don't really know to what extent any of this actually holds up yet. so I'd like to see some other people start talking about it, or even testing it. It seems like they might even be announcing, sort of trying to get on the front foot of not even quite having this. They're like, you can go on our website and test it, and it's like this whole thing could just be a GPT-4o wrapper for all I know. At this point, there wasn't nearly enough information for me to bring it up over optional.
Yes, I was an optional as well. I thought, these folks do a lot of PR and they need to use their own product on themselves. All right, in terms of explaining what's going on.
I'm with optional. Yeah.
Okay, optional it is. Ankaj, next, please.
Okay, the next one comes from a Ferris and it talks about federated computing, how we can conquer the data bottleneck in life sciences and healthcare.
Yes, as I was reading this thing, federated computing, the idea of sharing all kinds of, difficult data to share in the area of life sciences because of privacy and so forth. This is one of those things where the appetizer was great and the meal wasn't there. It didn't. It set up, I think, a really important problem and really interesting approach, and then not a lot of details, just kind of an announcement. So I gave it an optional, fantastically important area. Really interested to see what they come up with, but optional.
Yeah, I'm with you, John. I was looking for more and what they've done and what they achieved, and it wasn't there. But the idea, you're right, is absolutely needed, and people have been talking about it. But it sounds like it's a set of tools to do it. But optional for now, for me.
Cool idea, optional.
All righty, Ankaj, next.
Okay, the next one comes from New York Times and talks about how OpenAI hopes to sever its non-profit roots.
Yes, I don't know where they got this picture that they put in this thing, but whatever. I kind of like it. The ongoing saga, that if there is a soap opera or a few soap operas in the ongoing progress here, this is As the World Turns. So what do you think here, Adam?
I think I consider this article optional, and there's one important takeaway. So I'm kind of on the fence, I guess, for that reason. The one important takeaway would be that our audience probably shouldn't be betting all of their chips on OpenAI, and that there is a lot of drama, there is a lot of uncertainty, and they do have some very serious competition that isn't in the same boat they're in, right? Raising another $6 billion isn't going to mean much to Google or Amazon. So that's the one takeaway. I'd probably say it's optional overall, though.
What'd you think, Luda?
Yeah, optional. I'm sick and tired of it. I think of the OpenAI saga, um, and it is serious, as Adam said. What would happen with the company and how they're going to navigate the challenges they have.
Mhm.
So yeah, but optional.
I mean, but even at that, the horizon is 2 years that they have to sort this out. So
Yeah.
it'll become more relevant 6 months, a year from now. The details of the whole situation.
And they have money for now. So, right, it's like always we look at the startups, we see fundamental, like investors, we see fundamental issues that need to be conquered. But we always say, well, they have money. It's fine. They have a runway. They're fine. So I think they have money. They know what they're doing, and hopefully they can turn around.
Yeah, I read this is optional as well. It's interesting, the whole when you remember that Microsoft generates just under $2 billion of EBITDA a week. So basically less than a month's worth of EBITDA from Microsoft will do it. I wish that I wish someone else would stand up to and do the notion of really creating a public good here, the way OpenAI started. I think that their founding mission is still an important mission, and I don't see anybody picking it up. So anyway, optional, and for those who are interested in the drama of all this, it'd probably be essential, but optional it is. Next, Akash.
Okay, the last one that we have for today comes from Meta, and it talks about memory layers at scale.
Yeah, I think what's interesting here about how adding memory layers is massively decreasing the compute necessary for accuracy. I thought it was kind of fascinating. What do you think, Luda?
Yeah, I want to argue for important. It's a technical paper, so I can't argue for essential. It's kind of requires some technical depth to read it through. However, just reading the highlights and understanding what's coming I think, is important. So the problem we're having with the dense models, meaning the models as we've been training them, is we're pushing the limits on data, we're pushing the limits on power and compute and all of those. So people have been trying to invent the ways to get it more efficient. And this is a massive new path that this paper presents. And it presents it in a way it's not done yet by any stretch of imagination, but it presents it in a way that shows that this is a doable, scalable path. So what they're doing is essentially saying, okay, you train the model as you usually train it, but you swap the middle neural layers with memory layers, and you arrange a way to deal with memory. So you arrange the way to look up, to put the memory out there, a memory layer, and then do it the product key lookup with a simple method. Actually, you arrange the parallelism so you can use several GPUs to get it. What I applauded very much in shared memory, and then what I applauded very much as a compiler developer in the past, is for performance, they went into the hardware layer. And so they wrote it into a kernel, and got efficiency 6x. Right, so that's the playing with the memory in the middle of the training model architecture would have a massive impact on our models going forward. They will become way more efficient. So for that reason, I wanted to suggest that we do an important on it.
Luda, I knew you were hardcore, but I didn't realize you're a compiler creator.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like that's hardcore. I mean,
That's
and interestingly, I hadn't thought of it until you said it. This, in a certain way, this is like compiled semantics. You know what I mean? And very interesting. Yeah. So, Adam, what do you think here? Important?
Luda makes a good case. I was leaning towards optional. It's very dense. It's theoretical. It's
Well,
research.
it's not. They show results. They show data. It is a lot of it's technical. Let's put it this way. Yeah.
So I was leaning towards importance. I also think it's how it's written. It's not very accessible for most. But you make a great point. Like, I think so. That's I'm probably on the fence then, John.
I just think you shouldn't, I'm not sending people to read this paper, but if they read the summary and the introduction and some pieces later on of what actually they've done, and skim the paper, that will give
Luda, well, the summary literally says conceptually sparsely activated memory layers complement compute-heavy, dense, feed-forward layers, providing dedicated capacity to store and retrieve information cheaply. I'm like, so it saves us money? Like, what are you even talking about?
Look, it's skimmable by a compiler junkie. Okay. No, I mean that's very light reading for a compiler creator, right? Anyway.
Yeah, no, I get your point. Okay,
Yeah.
so suffice it to say, this is a new technique to optimize the training of the models to give us 6x and more performance and 100% accuracy on the tests that they've tried with the memory. Obviously, when you put the memory into core and then retrieve it, you get 100% accuracy. So this will increase the overall.
How soon do you think we'll actually see this in market being used?
Oh, very soon. Oh, very soon. Very soon. Meta has it. It's just they need to push it a little bit very soon. And they didn't open it up, right? So this is not an open source stuff yet.
Yeah.
They want to keep the edge, but they will put it out there and they will be in the lead because of that.
Yeah, I think the knock-on effect. I think we're kind of coming to a category, if you will, of important, which is technically deep, very important area. It's kind of like the one we had about the appropriateness of conversations, and I do think that we want to mark that because we go across a bunch of technical papers, and this one I can support important. Let's go for important on this one, and very, very exciting in terms of algorithmic and architectural innovation, which is going to drive a lot of the economics and deployment of this. All right, let's do that. So
I think to answer the question, Adam, is this year. I will give you $1.
And I guess it's I did actually catch this is research out of Meta, basically.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. They do impressive stuff. I tell you, FAIR is doing Facebook AI research, right? Is doing some really fantastic work. And I got into massively parallel computing architectures for a little while, and they do amazing stuff when you think about like what they've been doing, the operating systems they create, and how they do these data centers. I mean, they're really. And you think about their environments like Google. I mean, it's just one massive compute capability.
Yeah, but see what they're doing, they're very smart. They're saying, yeah, we're pushing the boundaries. There's no more scalability really from where we got it, right? So what do we do? The mix of experts, this, that, so all these optimization techniques, but it will give us like incremental improvements. This is a massive improvement, and so that's why I'm so excited about
it. No, I could see that for sure. All right, and as you say, Luda, this is because of the combination of compute efficiency and operational accuracy. I'm putting words in your mouth here, but I think you're saying, hey, look, that's likely to get to be used pretty quickly.
Yes, and Meta certainly will lead the way. They already pre-did it, right? So they show us how. They tell the world that we will be in the lead, and I'm sure they will be.
Yes, not making stock recommendations, but I continue to think Meta's got a big role to play here. And anyway, all right. So we have one essential 6 ways AI is changing business. 2 importance that are very deep theoretical papers, both of them a good read if you're in the mood for some beefy intellectual activity, but important topics, and 4 optionals. All right, we're going into Friday here. Have a great weekend, everybody. Any analysis or anything? Ankaj, Adam, Luda?
No.
All right.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Thanks again, Akash, for digging up great articles here. Adam, Luda, as always, great to see you guys. We'll see everybody in the new week. Bye-bye.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.